what you saw is madness. And I don't mean madness like I'm mad at you, you mad at me, you didn't say this. I'm talking about madness like King George III kind of madness. But I think we should revisit the possibility of a syphilis diagnosis.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America, welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. By now, I'm sure you've all seen what happened this past Friday in the White House between President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. We sort of got an inside look, a peek behind the curtain as to how the sausage is really made when it comes to international politics and diplomacy. And of course, the world was set on its ear because this isn't something that happens all the time, right? So everybody's got an opinion. Everyone is now an armchair diplomat. They're all experts in diplomacy telling you what should have happened.
Are you kidding with the Monday morning quarterbacking?
Now, I don't profess to be an expert in any of this. I'm just a political observer like you guys are. And I'm looking at these reactions and I'm thinking to myself, some have value, some don't. And those that don't range from just the ignorant to the crazy. We're going to be talking about one of those crazy reactions from this gentleman you see right here, what's left of James Carville. And we're going to use this as an example as to how President Trump has broken so many people on the left that once respected voices turn into complete and absolute kooks and just irredeemable wretches of human beings. We're going to look at what Carville said online last week. But before we get to all that, I'm going to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you like what you see and hear in this or any other video on the channel, smash that thumbs up button. Like, comment, share the show with your friends. All that really good stuff. Because all that's going to help us grow via the YouTube algorithm.
Feed me Seymour.
Speaking of growth, you might have seen a post in our community tab here on the YouTube channel that February was the biggest month in the history of Buffoon of the Week across social media platforms. And it's all because of you folks out there. So as always, thank you so much for all that you do to help grow the channel, whether you're watching on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, maybe you're checking out our videos on Facebook and Instagram, wherever you are. Thank you for helping to grow the channel and keep it up. And for all you newbies out there who may have found the channel for the first time, wherever you're watching, I hope this video earns your subscription, your follow, your like, your share, as we talk about James Carville, a once respected Democrat strategist, just going off the reservation in reaction to the events in the White House last Friday involving Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and President Zelenskyy of Ukraine. Before we begin looking at this clip and reacting to it, I think it might be prudent for me as a lawyer, you know you like the hoodie, to give a little disclaimer to cover my ass. James Carville is going to give his unvarnished, uncensored opinion here. So there is a bit of a language warning here. And the content of his opinion gets very, very personal when it comes to President Donald Trump. Like I said in the opening, he's broken by Trump. He is a longtime Democrat strategist. He doesn't particularly like our president. So that being said, if this sort of stuff triggers you guys, and I know it doesn't, but I have to say it anyway, you're forewarned.
Everybody got that?
All right, we got all the soft baby stuff out of the way. Let's get to the clip.
I was going to comment on something else, but it's impossible for me to ignore the events in the Oval Office earlier today. It's stunning. I think anybody watches this saw it. And I'm torn for an explanation, but there's something clear. There's an expression here in South Louisiana. It's not totally true, but it's you mostly hear it from Black people. And they'll say, that boy ain't right. And if somebody's obviously having some kind of a personality disorder or whatever. Well, when you look at Trump, the first thing that comes to your mind, that boy ain't right.
Interesting. We have Dr. Carville in the house here looking to diagnose personality disorders. I've observed Trump as a New Yorker for decades now, and this is just his personality. He has strong opinions. He's audacious and arrogant in delivering them. He definitely has a superiority complex, but to say that that's not normal, I totally disagree with. What is normal in politics? We see all kinds of politicos, pundits, prognosticators, and personalities out there all the time taking a different approach to delivering whatever political message they want to deliver. What is considered normal when you have this wide range of things here? James Carville is a political strategist. It's very interesting to me that his initial reaction is to get personal when it comes to Donald Trump, instead of going after what would be prudent and effective in delivering messages, which one can argue airing out dirty laundry on the international stage in front of the media, not exactly prudent or proper. I get that. But to go directly to personality of Donald Trump, James Carville's already let the game out that he is broken here. Donald Trump has addled James Carville's brain. Remember, he was helping out the Kamala Harris campaign in 2024. He's rattled him so much that his first initial reaction, his hot take, is to go after Trump personally.
Vendetta! Vendetta!
And to do so in a very shitty way, in my opinion, as you'll see here.
And we've seen so much, and we've gotten so hoo-ha, and all of the crazy things that he does, we've kind of become immune to him. Or, I mean, it's almost like a yawn. And this one just stuck out as something really, even by Trumpian standards, was hard to do something extraordinary. And us being rational people, us being people that believe in reason, are going to tend to wonder, what was the cause of this?
And now Carville is inviting the reasonable people out there, the normal people, those who see themselves as different from Trump, to speculate wildly as to why Trump is Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between, we've been observing Trump now for over a decade, just on the national political stage alone. Has there been any deviation from who President Donald Trump is? Has he not been bombastic? Has he not been strong-willed? Has he not been confrontational in public and in private? We saw it when he was dealing with Angela Merkel, talking about Russian oil.
Flashback.
It's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. And then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas.
End of flashback.
What's so different now that is setting off James Carville? In my opinion, the difference is Carville is different, not Donald Trump. He has been eroded. I mean, look at him right now. He's a shell of his former self, and age comes for us all, and that's not a bad thing. But I think it needs to be addressed here that James Carville is the one that has changed, and his frustration with Trump is bubbling over. He's not using his analytical brain for dealing with the policy ramifications and the means and methods of the Trump administration in confronting Zelenskyy publicly. He's going at, why is that boy not right? It's telling about where his mindset is.
What was the cause of this? A man who's obviously for a long time been in decline, who's fat, who doesn't sleep at night, who eats nothing but hamburgers and crap, who's almost 80 years old.
Are we talking about Joe Biden? Or are we talking about Donald Trump? Didn't we just deal with a president in decline? We know what that looks like. It looked like Joe Biden. Does Donald Trump look like Joe Biden here? Carville is just throwing out false premise after false premise, going after President Trump's diet. Listen, I'm not the healthiest eater myself, as you guys can see and have been seeing for years now. But is this really where he wants to go? This vaunted political strategist, the guy who coined the phrase, "It's the economy, stupid," who took an unknown Bill Clinton into the White House? This is what he's become now? We're not talking about the decline of Donald Trump. We're seeing the decline of James Carville.
There's a tendency to just ascribe it to the normal process of being overweight and having a bad diet and lack of sleep and accumulation of age. But I'm not sure that explains something as dramatic today. And I'm a guy, I like to ask questions. I like to speculate on things. That's why we have this YouTube channel. That's why you viewers and listeners, that's why we get along as well as we do. And I want to see the possibility that maybe I had a point considerably earlier than this when I pointed out on this very channel where Trump had red splotches on his hand, which I was told by any number of medical professionals that when you see that condition, the first thing that you suspect is syphilis.
What the fuck did you just say?
I'm sorry. Is this in bounds for you? Do you think that this sort of wild speculation is in bounds in political discourse? I'm going to leave that for you in the comments to discuss later on. We'll make it the topic of the day. But boy, did this really take a left turn here, huh? Going right to a medical diagnosis. The man has no medical credentials whatsoever. He saw he says, splotches on his hand and jumped to the conclusion that this man's got syphilis. Are you freaking kidding me? Is this what this man has become? First of all, he goes after looks again and diet and all that. And, James, you're pushing my button there because this shouldn't get personal like that. And then to just break the Goldwater rule, a well-established rule that usually belongs to psychiatrists and other medical professionals about not diagnosing people by not examining them personally in front of you. This is just completely out of bounds, in my opinion here. James Carville is maybe looking to remain relevant, to stir controversy. I don't know what he's doing, but it ain't right. It's pretty damn buffoonish.
Yeah, we know from any number of videos that his wife doesn't want to get in the same zip code as him. If you had a spouse that had syphilis, I'm not saying he does. I mean, let me be clear. I'm just asking questions.
And to me, this is the biggest sin of all. This is the dirty tricks that come from a dirty trickster like Carville. I'm not saying he does. I'm just asking questions. I'm just speculating, as if that absolves him of any responsibility for putting irresponsible thoughts like this out into the world. In this day and age of social media, a lie travels around the world faster than the truth even sets 1 foot out of bed. For someone as noted as James Carville, who, while he looks like Gollum right now and he's striving to keep that lizard skin on, see, I can get personal too, James. While he's doing all that, he's putting all this out there in the world, in social media, to hundreds of thousands of followers and other people who will pick it up, and throwing out wild speculation that might be fun to talk about and snicker about in private circles, but to put online like this is borderline defamatory to me. Now, Donald Trump is a public person, and it would take a showing of actual malice for him to take any action against Carville, and that's not what this is all about. But make no mistake, this is defamatory, in my opinion, at least by the spirit of the term, not necessarily the black letter definition of the law.
But what you saw is madness. And I don't mean madness like I'm mad at you, you mad at me, you didn't say this. I'm talking about madness like King George III kind of madness.
And he would know because he was probably alive for King George III.
And it could be a combination of being a fat fucking slob, which of course he is. It could be that
this sumbitch can cast aspersions about how people looks going on camera looking like this. Again, I'm not the guy to stand up for being the healthiest in the world here. But to go around calling someone a fat fuck on air and you want to be taken seriously, when you go around just speculating that someone has syphilis and you want to be taken seriously, fuck you, James Carville. Who gave this man a platform and a camera like this? Oh, look, it says Politicon in the top left-hand corner of the screen. There's got to be some responsibility for even giving this guy the access to say this sort of stuff here. He's just throwing things out there. He's casting wild aspersions. He's insulting. And he has not yet even mentioned anything about the protocols and policies and procedure when it comes to international diplomacy and what happens when you stray from those norms. What value is he giving his audience here when talking about what happened last Friday in the White House? Absolutely zero. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show.
Can't sleep at night because his beached whale body can't allow the circulation it needs. I don't know. I'm not a sleep specialist or a medical doctor.
Yet you keep on speculating about shit you don't know about. And you have an expertise on this subject that you can talk about. You're a political expert. Talk about the politics of the moment, James. This is why I say that he's broken. He has reduced himself to this egotist and this political leech, both of which I talk about in my book, which I have right here, Schnooks, Crooks, Lies, and Scoundrels, a field guide to identifying political buffoons, available right now on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and other online bookstores. And by the way, the book was just honored as a staff pick for spring 2025 at the New York Public Library, one of the oldest and biggest libraries in America. I'm very honored by that designation.
This guy is a grifter.
We talk about political leeches. We talk about these gadflies out there in the world that only care about power and don't care about the offices themselves. Thus far, we've been talking about Donald Trump personally as president, not the events that happened last Friday in the White House. Because James Carville doesn't care really about the diplomacy of the moment, although he may give some lip service to it later. I don't know. We're going through the video still. But he only cares about making outrageous claims against a political rival. He cares about the political power of it. That's why he's the leech. He's also an egotist because he once held sway in the Democratic Party. Like I said, he coined the phrase, "It's the economy, stupid," one of the most seminal phrases in politics during the 1990s, or as the kids call it today, the late 1900s, which I can't stand, by the way. He is an important political figure, an important political strategist, or he was, until he's gone into this, I'm not going to say cognitive decline, but I am going to say he went into a decline in his thought process, as evidenced by his words here going at Trump personally. You're a little too free with your mouth here, James, as we've been seeing, the fat shaming and the cursing and all the other aspersions without talking about the meat of the issue. He's a hybrid buffoon, and we're going to observe a lot more of it as the video goes on here.
But I think we should revisit the possibility of a syphilis diagnosis. And I know a lot of people that watch this channel, or some of you, or we get any number of MDs and professionals that are get in the comments, and some of you just well-informed citizens. But I don't think we can discount the fact that we saw was mad. I'm not going to concede that I'm just asking questions. I'm just making an observation that everyone saw.
Well, allow me to make an observation here, James, you golem-looking alien neck lizard skin motherfucker.
Some shit is about to go down.
You're not normal. You're crazy here. You've lost it. You've let Trump and Republican victories reduce you down to this shrunken, sallow form in front of us right now, to the point where all you want to do is invite speculation about your own outrageous aspersions. What happened to you? Did Donald Trump kill your puppy or something? Why aren't you talking about the arguments that have merit, that you have experience in, that would be in your wheelhouse? How it might be considered bad optics for Donald Trump to confront a world leader in front of cameras, not knowing what the result would be, and having an international deal blow up. Maybe you want to talk about how possibly J.D. Vance spoke out of turn at this media event where should have only been Trump and Zelenskyy talking. Maybe all of this should have happened in closed doors. These are all valid, substantive criticisms that I've heard from people on the left and the right. Or maybe you want to talk about how, this sort of shock and awe can blow up in your face if you're not a careful politician, and Donald Trump has not shown himself to really be careful in the years that we've observed him. He's been bold. He's been outspoken. He's been brash. Those would all be valid things to say. Instead, you go around calling people fat fucks. Well, let me tell you something. This fat fuck here thinks that your skinny ass is fucking crazy. Or at least that's what I would say if I were to sink down to your buffoonish level. Make no mistake, I'm not mad or angry about what James Carville is saying. He's annoyed me, definitely. I'm definitely annoyed, but I'm not mad. I'm more sad. I have a lot of pity for James Carville, because even though we're on different sides of the aisle, growing up, watching him during the Clinton years on the campaign trail, kind of admired the guy. He was an innovator. He had a really good grasp on what political messaging is, how to talk to kitchen table issues in America, which I think is the heart of politics. It's the heart of retail politicking. I was an admirer and indeed an enthusiast of Carville and what he thought about the politics of the moment. But to see him going around calling people fat fucks and speculating about whether they have syphilis, that's not the guy I once admired, or at least observed and thought that this was the way to do things. Watching him now, it's sad. It's sad not because of he's gotten older and, he looks the way he looks. And yeah, he got under my skin and I said a few things. I know that. But to just watch how far he has fallen in his thought, as evidenced in this video. Again, not speculating about any sort of cognitive dissonance or any sort of brain malady or any medical, psychological, physiological thing going on with him. Just by listening to what he said here, it makes me pity how far James Carville has fallen when it comes to political discourse. This is probably the last time I'll be talking about him, because after listening to him, his opinion falls into the fringes of irrelevance when it comes to the politics of the day. And that's sad. At least that's just my opinion on this whole thing. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me up in the comments. And as always, like and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. What do you think about the fall of the once mighty James Carville as evidenced in this video? Do you like that he's a shit talker now, that he's an old man shit talker? Maybe that's his brand? Let me know what you think in the comments about this video, as well as all the other shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in Dumb DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.